My name is Jalari Leila Makal. I am almost 63 years of age, never had a criminal record. I was a trained UKCC registered nurse and psychologist, and a year ago it was told to me by an agent that I was actually a targeted individual. So what is it to be a targeted individual? It begins with the color coding that is coming through refractory light rays, so that the members of the public hold up their phones and what they get is the colors of green, pink, red, blue, but not actually representing the sky, because their phones are hooked in to a system that my location is known at any given time, plus it is a multitude, it's a global phenomenon that is occurring on UK soil with nationalities that are across the board. This is the color codes of outside Edinburgh train station last night. Okay, this is actually all color coded. So whether it's British transport, Scottish transport, ferry transport, any kind of state government or private, they help the people to get the codes. This is all color coded, as you can see. And then I traveled as far as Fintor, which is close to, see, this is all color coded. Right. That's not the real color. I traveled to a place called Fintor, where I was so attacked. It is actually a military place, but it's also the eco village and the alternative village. This was my feet on Monday morning. Blue, red, white, pink. Same here. And then what you get is inside the actual kitchen of Fintor, you get the actual color coding of given to the guests. So all I do is I pay to be attacked. And this is the kind of attack of all the stuff into the mouth, which is actually decaying everything. My teeth, my hair, even a dry bag is falling apart. It disintegrates everything. This is the white that's in the tongue. So this is the kitchen of Fintor Hostel, where when I arrived on the Thursday, there was one operative from Philippines, and by Friday the place was packed. And Fintor provides the color codes, and that's the color coding that is wherever I am, the light comes. So it's a targeted artificial intelligence, phone and other means involving very large numbers of populations across the board. And the question that was posed to the new Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, was how legal is a color-coded AI system that produces such deathly attacks? It was also posed to the First Minister of Scotland the legality of such targeting. And I have come to the conclusion that the wide level of spread means that this is state-sponsored. So, what had I reported years ago? Child sexual abuse by a now late surgeon father who was Lithuanian Jewish, a non-UK citizen, an OBE of a rabbi, formerly of Mayfair, London, a UK citizen linked to child incest. And 2019, a rape in India by someone in power to the CBI. And as a result of this, in 2019 I was poisoned in India, and what they did was then try to institutionalize me, create it as if I was mentally ill, but I have no mental illness. So these reportings regarding include ex-family who are based in Israel with deep links to India. So the codes: red, yellow, pink, blue, white, orange, black, green. And I am targeted as an older woman, and now this is a year of deathly attacks. So what are the traits and the telltale signs of those involved? These individuals are within any aspect of both public and non-public services, including the police, the NHS, people in power, security people. You'll find them within the bus drivers, the train drivers, the conductors, across England, Scotland and Wales, including the islands. The operatives who are involved with this, they tend to have a more overt behavior, and they will either be touching their face to notify that I'm around, or scratching the back of their hair, or curling their hair, or using their eyes to make sure that it's group based, because by producing the color codes, they then produce the stimuli. So as I'm sitting, my feet are busy turning pink, red, white, and the earth underneath me is shaking. Okay? I no longer able to have even a sleep at night without a pillow heated, a bed heating, the shaking. There is never a minute of a day when I am not targeted. So who are these and how they behave? So they touch their faces, their hair, facial expressions, swinging objects, always carrying water. They will, where I was sitting at Richmond Terrace, all the leaves came, they'll throw poisonous items, bark, etc. They often have bright shoes, they have more overt behavior, but they range from, they even use the homeless to give direction as to where I am. So it goes from the very bottom of the rank to the very top. It is also within the military, because when I was walking from Flinthorn to Forries, which is actually all militarized up in Scotland, a military person came into a shop and said, it's time for this to be finished, meaning it's time for me to be finished. So my life is very short right now. So what do these people do? This is Scotland, okay, on ferries. These are very professional people. This is a group of Americans, Canadians, all holding, and Scottish, all holding the phone to get the light, to get the color codes.
Why do they walk the whole
These codes are provided by the McCall ferry services. Whether you're traveling to the Isle of Lewis, to Ust, to Barra, plus the motorhomes, it is widespread throughout. This is Edinburgh. So I'm standing over here, and if you look at the hand movement, they'll use gestures to create the kind of movement, the wind, that they believe will activate stimuli. This is early morning. this is waiting, and this is also Edinburgh, and you see the lights. It's all refractory light, and in fact in Edinburgh, if you zoom in here, you will see the refractory light coming out of Holyrood Castle itself. And that was the moment I understood that this was deep state sponsored targeted attack on my city. This is Edinburgh. You see people also get the codes from one of these posh royal hotels. And then this is on a train where you can see the codes are being given to them, and that's the refractory light, and I'm sitting over there. You see, this is how it works. They look up to the top of the area on the boat, which then gives them the code plus this light ray, and this is the furthest part of South Oost, where I arrived and maybe 20 motorhomes arrived. And here's the codes on the cars. This is waiting at a remote town, Oban, for a train to Edinburgh. I did 2 more days at Scottish Parliament, highlighting what these people actually do. So what do? They spend all their time on these phones getting my location with the color codes. Right? It's there. You can see she is alerting the other passengers that this is the person behind her. And then all the codes stop. And this man was actually a really, really dangerous professional. He jammed my phone, he locked me out of Yahoo, and here he's sitting with the light, with the codes, the foreigner. And this is how they go. They use dogs, they use, as if they're just doing ordinary things, but there's nothing ordinary about it. So what is this? What can cause such serious, potential life-threatening conditions that have nothing to do with sickness or bites or other health matters? It's called being confirmed by MI5 October 23 a target. And why? And on what grounds can an innocent person be targeted in the UK and perish with it? So this is what perishing means. Okay. This is the level of the colors, the red, the orange, the stuff in the tongue, now no teeth of now 2 months ago or less. This is the color just of my finger, shiny white like the teeth. And this is me under absolute attack, and you can see someone slowly perishing away. This is the color that they use. Like now, like this. The pink, the white, the red. And this is more of how they spend professionally following me at such a level. So a hunted, hounded, targeted individual 24/7, irrespective of these being remote places. So this is what happened at a hostel in Edinburgh and around Edinburgh Castle, Edinburgh Parliament. They occlude the blood supply and they mark the skin in such a way, but basically with that level of occlusion, you will lose your foot eventually, very quickly. Okay? This is what they do with the soles of my feet. Burn it, burn it, burn it. This is how swollen the feet become. And this is actually on a train, a ScotRail train. This is just on a pavement where actually in Edinburgh, just across the way, and there you are, there's the refractory light. So the people hold it up and they get the color codes. And that's the color of my feet there, but that's what they actually do. And this is actually in a friend of mine's house, private home, and they're not involved. So it doesn't matter where I am, in a private home, a hostel, the street, anywhere. And the problem is shelters become impossible because as soon as I stay more than a couple of hours somewhere, it's too established. The attacks are too strong. And this is what happens where the attacks are too strong. And you can see the color, the green, the white, the very pink shiny tongue. And this is the mask, black. And these masks can be red, like at the moment they're using something that has almost like a curry taste to it. It's absolutely revolting. White shiny stuff like this. And this is in the sputum, this white stuff. So it's in the urine, in the feces, in the sputum. So I'm absolutely toxic. And this is actually my feet burnt in a private home, burnt red. And this is more of this. And you can see what they do with the surface of the skin, and they try to break it, everything to break it, so they get the toxin into the skin as well, or make me hurt myself. And this is the loss of long, curly hair and very little gray. So this is just more of what living as a targeted individual. And now it's got to a point where there is nothing that tells me that this will ever stop. The last hostel was the one in Findhorn, which showed the kitchen with the color codes. This was an innocent Argyle backpackers in Edinburgh, where I was supposed to stay for 4 nights and stayed for 2. By the second night, the place was jam-packed with operatives, South African, Russian, Ukrainian, Canadian, and the stimulus was so strong, both men and women, that by the time the morning came, they'd left kitchen cupboards open so that I would fall and hurt myself. The whole thing is to get me knocked down or crippled or dead, basically. So this is my decision now, is that actually it is no longer worth paying to be targeted. So given that the street is public and they can knock me out on the street, but I'm not paying for it, it's free. And the truth is, I now know 1000%. It was being in the Scottish Parliament. I went to use the bathroom a few days ago, and the color codes, like the picture from Findhorn, like the one at Big Ben, the color codes were across the entrance doors within the Scottish Parliament itself, the entrance, the security. And then I absolutely knew that this is state murder, and that Britain permits state targeted murder for a person who is not a protester, a person who has never violated the law, but seems to fall into a category of having reported very, very serious criminal offenses by very powerful people, and something before and before, because one thing that has been a pattern is that whatever I did, no matter how hard I worked, everything always collapsed, whether it was redneck racism, whether it was property fraud, whatever it was. But this targeting is now a year older and is very, very definite. And I thank you for giving me the time, because I know that there is now very limited days of life left.